crime wave that's happening in Atlanta, and what are your plans to do something about it?
You cannot feed all this mainstream media. We have to get the real good information. We got to get that because they're hiding it.
Family. It's time to resurrect our minds.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back. You guys, I have like a couple of different setups going on over here. Let me move you guys over here so I can. Michael Langford, Happy New Year. I have not seen everyone in a minute. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Good to see you, Tyson. Good to see you, Tish. You guys make sure that you like and share. Let everybody know that we are back today. I see you, Jennifer. I see you, Nita. I'm excited, and we have an exciting show for you on today. We have so much stuff to catch up on. Please make sure you go grab all of our Unfiltered crew. So we can get this guys to you, and whoever misses it, of course, can catch the replay. But I'm sure you guys want to see it live. First of all, I want to say thank you all. A lot of stuff happened during the break, and I want to say thank you all for all the condolences that were sent, for all the losses that we had last year. I know our family is not the only family that experienced loss last year. So I'm going to say to each and every one of you all, that our hearts and prayers are with you all, and 22 is going to be better, period. So I want to say thank you guys for showing up, and just thank you for being on each of our platforms. We're actually not on Instagram today because of technical difficulties. So if you know somebody watching on Instagram, they need to come over to YouTube or to Facebook to see what we are talking about today. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about on today. Good morning, Christina. I see you. I see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so you got good morning, Avril. Good morning. Welcome. Let me tell you guys, it's been so much going on. Like, I really started to tell the show what I miss. But then as I began to go through it, there's actually a script change that happened early this morning as I was going through and researching it. And I said, I got to go in this direction first. But here's the deal. What we're really going to talk about today is, of course, the first thing we're jumping into is history, like we always do. Good morning, Marguerite. Welcome back. Happy New Year. The first thing we always jump into is what happened today in history. So let's start with that. And as I began to look at that, this show just kind of began to evolve, if you will. So today in history, today is actually the 12th day of January of 2022. And it's an anniversary of something major that happened. Do you guys remember what happened? This is the anniversary of that really devastating earthquake that happened back in Haiti. You all will probably remember that this particular earthquake happened, and it killed approximately 160,000 people, destroyed the majority of one of the major cities called Port-au-Prince. But guess what, guys? Remember, they also had another devastating earthquake just last year. Earthquakes have been happening regularly, even here in the United States. And all I'm going to say to y'all is pay attention. Do y'all remember on September 8th when we aired a show called A Shift in the Atmosphere? Are you ready? Y'all remember that? Because a lot of y'all were on there giving us different clues about things we needed to have in the storehouse and having solar power generators and things like that. Y'all jumped in and y'all came through. I need you guys to remember that in this season and go back and watch it if you missed it, because we told you a storm is coming, period. And I'm going to stand on that. In fact, I'm going to show you guys this map, and I'm sure I didn't pay any attention to it because this was a report that was recently released by the, I guess it's, what is it? The NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They released this report right here. And what the report says, because it's probably not big enough for you guys to see, is that we had 20 weather events in the United States alone last year that cost over $1 billion in damage. That means it was severe. But let me tell you what's crazier about that. What's crazy is that we normally only have about 7.5 events per year. Last year alone, we had 20. It's already been proving that it's getting worse and worse and worse. So what we're saying to you guys right now and in this season is, one, stay woke, but two, more importantly, stay aware and stay prepared. So here's the deal. We have all these weather-related events, and there's one I want to talk to you about in particular right now, because some people are like, oh, it's just a one-off. It's not just a one-off. Pay attention. This is some of the things that happened while we were apart from one another. One of the things that happened was a major catastrophe Do y'all remember this? What are we looking at right now? We're looking at half of an Amazon warehouse. Why are we looking at half of an Amazon warehouse? Because the other half of it is gone. The reason it's gone is because of a rare December tornado that happened in Mayfield, Kentucky. I'm sure you guys were watching the news just like the rest of us were. When this tornado happened, half the warehouse was gone. But that's not the only thing, y'all. So we had this warehouse, but then this is a different warehouse. There was a candle factory there, and I think at least 8 people died there in this factory alone. There was a candle factory there that was completely demolished by this tornado that happened in December. But look at the city. Half of the town is gone. It is a December tornado. And I keep saying December for a reason. Why? Because it's rare to have a December tornado. That is a fact, especially a December tornado. Let me correct, especially a December tornado that results in an EF4. Now, the highest rating for those of us who come from the belt understand that tornadoes, the highest rating is an EF5. You're right, Michael Langford. We're going to talk about that on a whole nother show. You're right. The candle factory would not let, thank you for bringing that up. The candle factory would not let the workers leave. Let me go back to that picture real quick. They wouldn't let the workers leave because they said that they thought it was safer for them to stay there. But we knew this storm was coming the day before. It wasn't like you just got the warning that the storm was coming. And then hours leading to the storm, there were already tornadoes that were tracking. And Michael, thank you for bringing that up because this tornado tracked over, I believe, 165 miles. Let me get back to it. This tornado tracked over 165 miles. That meant they were watching the destruction as it came and told them they couldn't leave because they felt like, oh, well, we don't want to send you in your car. You'll be safer here. But you knew 165 miles ago that these tornadoes were coming. As a matter of fact, it wasn't just one EF4. It was 2 different EF4s that were spawned over the over 20 tornadoes that happened on that day in December. This is what happened. So the question becomes, are we paying attention? And are we getting ourselves ready? Because I promise you, I would have been gone. So they wouldn't let them leave. But you're in a town where they're making what, $8, $10 an hour. They have families to support. I understand that. You don't want to risk losing your job when you don't know if a tornado is coming. But I hear what Michael is saying too. They didn't let the people leave because they're more concerned about what? The money than the people. So the reason I mentioned the fact that this is a rare event and the fact that it's an EF4 is because there is an EF5 coming. Period. I'm going to stand on that. There's an EF5 coming. Earthquakes are happening more frequently. We need to pay attention. Go back to the video and be ready. So what's next? What's next we want to talk about? Oh, okay. I would like to get off of the weather thing, but I can't because we're talking about what's happening today in history and what we missed. Did you guys know that what happened yesterday? We had a snow event yesterday. Let me go down here and switch us over to that. We had a snow event yesterday that happened, which actually led to a town running out of places to put the snow. It's a place in Washington called Leavenworth. Leavenworth is used to getting snow, but not this kind of snow, because what happened here was they had, and you see the date, January 11th, this happened yesterday. So much stuff has happened recently. They had 4 feet of snow fall in less than 48 hours to the point that they had to call the National Guard in to help them find places to put the snow. People's ceilings, this is in the US, the roofs were coming in because of the snow. Look at that. Look at all that snow on that roof. I grew up in the Midwest. Y'all, my Midwest people, my Northeast people, when you get heavy snow like that in that short a period of time and it gets heavy and it gets wet, it's about to cause some major damage. So we need to be paying attention to that. The snow is even getting worse. So we had this heavy snowfall thing that happened just yesterday. So we're still talking about things that happened in history. So again, I'm gonna go back to this, pay attention. So let's switch topics. Did you guys know, y'all remember we talked about the different benefits that were available? Y'all remember that with COVID and they were sending out the different checks for the $300 a month. Well, surprise, everything that's free is not free. For those of you who have been receiving the extra $300 a month for your child, and we need you guys to be aware here at Unfiltered that it will affect your taxes. Why? Because it was in advance. And whenever there's an advance on something, that's called a plus. Eventually, there's going to be a subtraction. So what's coming to you guys. Go look up this article. There could be a tax surprise for those of us who received the advanced child tax credit. Of course, those of you who were taking your student loan deferments, you don't have any interest to deduct this year. Pay attention to those tax consequences. I'm less concerned about that than the people who have 3, 4, or 5 kids who are getting $1,200 a month, and then they get around to their taxes and they're expecting something back. And they even say in this article that you may even owe money if you received some of these COVID benefits. And we're going into tax season. It's January 12th. I want you all to be aware and to be prepared. So what do we have next on our radar for today? What else happened while we're gone? I know what happened while we were gone. While we were gone, we got a new variant of the virus called Omicron. But Omicron was actually the first variant to get married, or at least the first that they announced that they got married. And the marriage is called Flurona. Yes, like Benifer, which is now like going way back, except there's a Benifer 2.0. Did you guys know there's a Benifer 2.0 that Jen and Ben got back together? But anyway, the whole point is Flurona is a real thing. It's a new virus. But here's the deal. It's not a new virus. It's just something that got a new name. Think about it. And I'm gonna change my screen here so I can just talk to you guys for a quick second about this, and then we'll go back to what I need to tell y'all today. Listen to this. Flurona. It's the flu and it's getting COVID. It's not a new strain, but it's a big deal and people are talking about this Flurona. But let me explain this to you all. If someone has diabetes and hypertension, do they have hyperbetes? No, it's not. It sounds insane. So this isn't some super virus. People can have 2 different conditions at one time. So we need to pay attention to stuff like that. So it's not a super virus. It's just getting sick with 2 different things at one time. But here's another thing that happened. Breaking news as of yesterday. We don't just have to deal with Flurona, guys. We have to deal with Deltacron. Has anybody heard of the new variant called Deltacron? Talk to me in the chat. Talk to me in the chat. I hear you, urban philosopher. Until they complete the reset, you will continue to see this nonsense. Thank you. Preach right there for me, because that is the truth. Listen to this. We have a new one called Deltacron. Wait, Demetrius Amos said she flatlined because of the madness. Okay, look at this. Deltacron is here as of yesterday. Breaking news. You heard it here first. Michael Langford just told you what I was about to talk about. I'm going to need you to just come sit right next to me, Michael. Deltacron is supposed to be this new variant, but you can see from the picture I have posted is people are saying Deltacron is probably a lab mistake. You can see that right behind me. Some are saying it's a lab mistake. Others are arguing that it's real. Others are saying that there may be a surge in it. The scientists are even arguing over whether this new variant Deltacron is real. Okay, so we don't know if Deltacron is real, but it's a top story and we're talking about it. But just like every other variant, we really don't know anything except that it exists. But here's what we do know. We do know that when it comes to COVID or Omicron, everyone's going to get it. And you know how we know it? We know it because our top health professional in the United States of America has told us that the highly contagious version of Omicron will find just about everybody, Fauci says, but vaccinated people will still fare better than the unvaccinated people when they do get it, because everyone's going to get it. That is the only thing that we know. Well, sir, part of the reason COVID is going to find its way to everybody has a bit to do with the ever-changing policies of the CDC. Welcome to the 5-day isolation period. That also happened while we were away from one another. The 5-day isolation period. Do you guys know that while we were apart, the isolation period was modified to 5 days? Did you all know that? And I'm going to go back to my screen so I can talk to you about that today in history. Did you guys know that? So in the midst of what they were calling the most contagious, yes, it's not if you get it, but when you get it. So in the midst of what they were calling the most contagious variant of COVID, the CDC then decided that we were going to go down to a 5-day isolation period. But there's also a catch in that for the 5-day isolation period. and which says that if you're vaccinated and you've had all your boosters, you should do a 5-day isolation period. But if you just have been in contact with someone, you don't have to do it if you don't feel like if it's too unbearable for you. Let me get my language right. You don't have to do it. You just have to wear a tight mask. Okay, so that's that. So that's what we're doing with that. But here's the deal. So we've got all this stuff going on. We've got the reduced timelines, and now the masks. They're saying some of those masks we've been wearing may not even work, and so now we may be getting some changes with mask guidance. But these are things that happened while we were away from each other. But here's the deal. Some people feel like they should be able to wear whatever kind of mask that they want. Because at the beginning of all of this, weren't we told that we could wear any kind of mask that we want? Well, this man, while we were apart, was kicked off of the plane for wearing a pair of underwear as his face mask. Let's watch.
What? Non-mask compliance.
You can see Jenny's bright red underwear hanging on his face as he gets walked off the plane in the video taken by another passenger. He says he was trying to show why the rule doesn't make sense to him.
There's nothing more absurd than having to wear a mask till I get to cruising altitude so that I can order Tito's by the double and snack on pretzels, and illustrating that absurdity by wearing women's underwear on my face sounds perfect.
Shortly after Jenny left, other passengers started to speak up.
Did he just get kicked off for wearing a mask?
This man then chose to leave the flight as well.
I'm out of here. Forget it. I'm out of here.
Jenny says several passengers ended up getting off the plane to support him.
Thank you to them, because they saw something.
So this is the red panty mask guy. And people were getting off the plane in protest with him. But here's one of the things that I actually had not thought about that he said in this interview, whether you agree with him or whether you don't agree with him, is this: that when we are on the airplane, I've never seen somebody take an hour to eat a Biscoff cookie until the pandemic. Why? Because a lot of people aren't like just taking the peanuts, putting them up under their mask, right? They're literally, the mask is hanging off the side, and we are, every time the flight attendant comes by, somebody will take a drink. Or when the flight, if you've flown, you've seen this. Come on, don't leave me out there. Y'all have seen this. Or I think I may be the only person who does that. I actually do put my peanuts under my mask. So, or they'll like take a drink of it when the person comes by or whatever. Now, I'm not saying him wearing panties on the plane as a mask was appropriate. I'm just saying that's one of the things that we missed while we were apart from one another. But on a serious note, I want to get back to something that is just kind of, it's been on my mind. What's really been on my mind is the naming of the variants. And I want to talk about this before we jump to the next segment. There's something about naming every COVID variant that bothers me a little bit. And the reason it bothers me is because if you consider all the different strains of flu, there's a flu shot every year because there's a new strain every year, yet we don't get a name that makes the headlines. It gets a file number, right? So let's talk about that for a quick second. The various types of flu. So there's 4 different types of influenza, A, B, C, and D, right? Influenza A virus, it's one of the main ones. A and B are one of the main ones that we see during flu season, but the A virus can also infect different animals like pigs and birds, okay? Now, there's actually 131 types of influenza in category A alone that have been identified to date. But every time there's a new flu, we don't get a new name. And so it's something about that. It's almost like to keep everybody worried, to keep everybody up in arms. Just do what you're supposed to do to protect yourself, because we have to live. Okay. But do what you need to do to protect yourself, but we have to live. So don't let all the names and the hypes and the new things that you've seen and the arguing over it get you flustered, because it's 2022 and it's time for you to move forward. But we're going to talk about that later towards the end of the show. But speaking of the flu and the fact that there's new strains and that the A can infect people and it can affect animals, we also know that animals are being infected with COVID. How do we know that? We know that because of this. So here we go over here. Oh, thank you, Nita. Nita said it's a distraction. We know that because of this. An Ohio State University study shows that a third of the deer that are tested in Ohio have COVID. And now Massachusetts is also monitoring the number of white-tailed deer that have COVID. In fact, here's what you need to know. Ohio State University scientists did a nasal swab sample of 360 white-tailed deer. Yes, the deer did get nasal swabbed at 9 sites from January through March of last year, and found that 25% of them were positive for COVID, but the rates could be as high as 70%. So how are the deer getting COVID? That's an excellent question. And the scientists believe that it's deer-to-deer transmission, but that the initial source is us. I'm going to let that sit right there because I want to talk about pigs now. Yesterday, a man got the first genetically modified pig heart in the world. It is the first pig heart transplant in the world. And this was notable because we are talking about what we missed while we were away, as well as what's happening in history. And this was yesterday, so it's history. Yes, the man did get his first modified pig heart transplant. So here's the question. How do y'all feel about that? And the reason I ask how y'all feel about that is because he's not, it's actually more common than you know for people to have pig parts in their body. And I didn't know that until I started researching this, because did you know that there's a word called porcine, right? There's a word called porcine, and porcine means of, affecting, or resembling a pig or pigs. I don't know why we just don't call it pigs, and just tell people what it is. It's pigs, right? And Michael is right. What they did was it's a genetically modified pig because they didn't want it to reject it. And it's not the first time, because they actually performed, it was a brain dead person. They performed I want to say it was a pig kidney transplant. Is that right, Michael? That they performed. But did you all know those heart valves that they do? Most of them are pig parts. They're porcine. So everyone may have their different feelings about it, but this is what happened. They did a pig transplant, a pig heart transplant. So we'll follow this to see, how this works in the future with our test study right there. So you guys, that has been our catch up, but I do want to talk to you all about this. And so we'll get to the show, and we're gonna go over here for this. All right, so listen to this. So, and I'm waiting on you guys to tell me what you think about the heart pig transplant. I want you guys to talk to me about that. So listen to this, and I'm gonna do more on this. But I want to preface it because we're actually already running out of time here. And there's one more thing I want to get to before we go. I was in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and I was in the bathroom, and I was trying to wash my hands, and the water just wouldn't come on. It happens to me often. I'm trying to wash my hands. The water wouldn't come on. And so a older white woman comes over, and she says, "It's not going to work for you." And I looked at her, and she said, those particular faucets weren't designed for colored skin. And she put her hand up under the faucet, and it immediately came on. And I just looked at her, I said, "What?" And everybody in the bathroom, now we're in the girls' bathroom at the airport having a whole conversation about this. And she said, yes, she says, I'm a psychology professor or some type of professor at a university, and our class did a study on this and other racist technology. She said, so I want to apologize, to you for all the people that did that, right? And so I was like, what? And so then I go over to the paper towel machine, and I try and use the paper towel machine. It didn't work. She comes over, puts her hand in, woo, right away it works. So what she explained to me was that some of those technologies are really made for white skin. She says there's a bias in the technology. So I began to research it. Now, I know you all told me this truth. How many of you have had trouble getting the water to come on in some of those airport faucets? Because some of them are based on, some of those faucets are actually based on motion. Others are based on detecting color, right? And so now we have those faucets. And he said those faucets never work for me. That's crazy. It's only a white fountain now, right? Yes. And so I did the research for it, and it's true. And so I was like, okay, what else does this impact? And while I was researching it, do you know what I found out? I found out that there's also studies being done about the oxygen sensors that you put on your fingers. Think about this. We're in the midst of COVID, and what they're learning now is that the oxygen sensors that you put on your fingers to test your oxygen level in your body, you know, during a time when we're dealing with all of these issues, may have the same issue as the other sensors because they were created to be able to filter light through lighter skin. So I'm going to have more information for you guys on that in another episode, but it is something that I want you guys to be absolutely aware of. So before we get into our closing segment, which is something I want to do, and I'm going to leave you guys on a positive note, how about we do a giveaway? How about we give away some money? You guys like giveaways. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I want to do something different today. So let's do this. Let's do 2 different giveaways. And hey, Mike Merrill, welcome. Let's do 2 different giveaways. We'll do the first giveaway for $100, and we'll do it the traditional way. And then I'll think about what we're going to do next. So you guys know how we do. For those of you who are new to Unfiltered, one of our missions is to bless the people. That's why we say be blessed and stay woke. Even though staying woke isn't popular, which is why we do it. But they say be blessed, stay woke, because our mission here is to give back. We have different people who always contribute to the giving on our show, as well as just Unfiltered being able to give. So right now we're going to give away $100, and this is how we do it. You're going to type in the chat a number 1 through 100, and whoever wins will be receiving the $100. So you guys ready? You know how we do it. What I'm going to do right now is start the timer, and we'll go from there. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have the winner. So the closest person to that number, you guys are really low today. No, Michael, you can't pick 2. You guys are really close today. So for the person who picked it, it's actually going to be, I think it's Mike Merrill. Hold on. Yeah, it's Michael Merrill. Michael Merrill picked number 75, and the number is actually 94. The number is 94. I figured I'd do a high number today, so because you guys are so used to me being in the middle. Michael Merrill, you are the proud winner of $100. Congratulations, $100. But I want to do something else today too. I've been talking to you guys about just creating wealth, and we've had several times Michelle Renee, and I'm looking forward to having her back again. Yeah, you should have just picked one, Mike Langford. So I'm looking forward to having her back again. All right. So what I want to do is I want to give away some cryptocurrency because I've been talking to you all about just learning different wealth strategies. And you all, if you're not a part of Informative Services, you need to be a part of it. I look forward, go back and watch the previous episodes where I've had Michelle Renee on there because there is a wealth transfer taking place and I want you guys to be a part of it. So the next thing I'm going to give away is actually going to be, I think I'm going to give away $50 in Bitcoin. So you will need to already have a cryptocurrency wallet. If you don't have one, you will need to go get one if you are the winner of this $50 in Bitcoin that I am about to give away. So that being said, let us take it from there. We're going to start the timer again, but this time I'm looking for numbers 1 through 50, and I'll give you guys 60 seconds and let's take it away. Okay, what do we have over here? Doom, 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 doom. Okay, he said he's sticking to his guns. He's sticking to 47. You go ahead and stick to your guns over there. Okay, all right. Well, the winner is actually, ooh, guys. Okay, let me tell you what I did here. Doom, 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 doom. No, don't worry. It's not Michael Merrill. It is. I believe it's Christina Colwood. Okay, it's Christina Colwood. You were close, Michael Langford. So actually what I did was look up the current price of Bitcoin, which is currently sitting at $43,751. So the number is actually 43. So the winner of that $50 in Bitcoin looks like it's going to be Christina Colwood because she was 2 away. And Michael, you were several away. I don't see anybody who's closer. If there is, correct me before the end of the broadcast. So you guys know what to do. Send me an email at beblessed@bcwright.com. beblessed@bcwright.com. And tell me your method of payment. Send me your Bitcoin address. If you want the Bitcoin, Michael Merrill, send me Cash App or Zelle or whatever. No, not Zelle. Apple Pay. That's so complicated. Apple Pay or whatever your preferred method of payment is. So for this last segment, because we're closing out, but I want to end us on a positive. I want to end us on a positive note. So let's go over to the couch over here. I want to end us on a positive note. So here's what I want to know. And it's not really what I want to know. There's so many things we're going to talk about, like the Civil War in America. And here's what we know about war. War doesn't begin after the first shot is fired. It's already started. It starts in the boardrooms and things like that. But we're going to end us, and we're going to talk about that soon. But right now, I want to talk about open doors, because my vision for this year for myself is simply open doors. But that's my vision for you guys as well. So in the midst of all this chaos and confusion, I want to make sure that you guys understand that there's still heroes that are rising. In the midst of every obstacle, there is an opportunity. So when we're looking at everything that's happening and we see the transition and we see the change happening all around us, remember this, BOLO. Be on the lookout, not just for what they show you, not just for what your natural eyes can see, because that will take you off track, right? Because you see all the infighting and the arguing, but look for things that people are not looking for. Look for the opportunity. Here's an example. when a call goes out to a police officer and it says, Bolo, be on the lookout, it's an alert that they're looking for something more specific, because most people are focused on the crime, but they're looking for the person of interest. They're looking for something smaller, something more tangible, something more minute. Red hat, 5'4", carrying a backpack with a tattoo. So in the midst of everything that's being shown to you, I'm asking you to dig deeper. What are you really looking for? Can you cut through the chaos to get to the clarity? What's happening behind the scenes? It's time for you to blaze a trail through the chaos. For many people, the answer to that question, can you do it, is yes. For me, the answer is yes. I want to talk about a couple of trailblazers. But before I do that, I want to see what you see when you look at this. I want to share something with you, and hopefully it'll let me get it onto the screen. If not, I'm going to read it to you. And I want you guys to tell me what you think about it. Okay. There was I'm going to read it to you. No, or what? Actually, wait, maybe I can pull it up. I can pull it up. Let me take you over to the article because I want to, here we go. And then I'll add it here. I want to take you over to the article because I want to read it while you all read it, because I want to see if you all see what I see. And you may even see some stuff that I did not see when I looked at it. And this is about being on the lookout, and can you see through different things sometimes and dig deeper to the truth of what's really happening. So let's go down here to Chrome, and here's what I want us to look at right here. So listen, I'm right here. There's a gun buyback. It's right above my head. Gun buyback in East Flatbush. This is happening this weekend. No questions. Wait, let me move my screen up so I can see you guys too. Chrome, because I need to see your chat as well. There we go. All right, y'all read that, and I'm gonna read it out loud to you. Okay, so gun buyback in East Flatbush. No questions asked. No questions will be asked of anyone wanting to participate in a gun buyback program taking place this Saturday. This is in New York. Cash in prepaid cards and iPads, one per person, will be offered for operating guns, assault rifles, shotguns, and air guns. The drop-off site is going to be open this weekend, blah, 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 blah. Program co-sponsors are the Kings County District Attorney's Office and the New York Police Department. Note, participants cannot be current or retired law enforcement personnel. 10-9, tell me what you see in the chat. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because there's a delay. So I wanted your chat to catch up to me before I start giving the answers. So here we go. The first thing I thought, and of course, I'm coming from the mindset of being a criminal defense attorney, right? And I'm looking at this going, first of all, it says no questions will be asked, but if I bring a gun and I drop it off and you give me an iPad, can they track iPads? So that's the first thing that I saw is you're sending me home. And so if there happens to be something wrong with that gun or on that gun or suspected about that gun, you're going to be able to find me because you gave me an iPad to take back home with me. So that was one thing. Michael Langford said spyware. That was one thing that I noticed. The second thing I noticed is being sponsored by the District Attorney's Office, the New York Police Department. That's probably not going to make a lot of people want to do it, want to bring it in. Do you really think that you're going to hand over a gun and they're going to give you an iPad and they don't know who they gave the iPad to? In addition to that, you can't participate if you're current or retired law enforcement personnel. Why? Dig deeper. Some people will read this and be like, oh, okay, great. I can just get rid of the gun. Or great, I can just go turn this in. Or they may even have stolen property. All of this stuff looks like it goes right back to the person. So dig deeper. When I saw that article, it was just an example of, can you cut through the clutter and see like what's really happening here? Yes, we're not going to ask you any questions at the scene, but best believe you're going to get asked some questions later. So back to our virtual living room set. Let's talk about, Christina says, do they think they're going to earn cash for government issued guns? Right. I don't think that's it, but they do have personal weapons. But why can't they be subject to this? I mean, I'm retired. Why can't I actually turn my gun back in. I didn't get that, but there's always policy reasons for things that we may not understand. So here's what I want to say as we end this broadcast. I actually talked longer than I wanted to. There are so many topics I wanted to cover today, but here's what I'll leave you guys on a positive note. There are some major things happening. We're in the middle of this great phase that they're calling, what are they calling it? The Great Resignation. We're in the middle of the Great Resignation. 1 in 4 workers are planning on quitting their jobs in 2022. Why am I excited about that? I'm excited about that because a lot of people over this last couple of years realize their worth. They realize that they can start businesses. So I want to encourage everyone on here. I need you guys to start supporting small business owners. Start buying your fruits and vegetables from a fruit stand or someone who has like a little private farm. Start paying attention to different vendors who may have the supplies that you need, because we can do business with each other. It's decentralized, right? Just like, the metaverse is decentralized, just like cryptocurrency. It's time for us to start doing business with one another. So there are great things happening because people are waking up. They don't want you to stay woke, but people are waking up and they're stepping back, and we're realizing our value, and we're going back to that old system where we can barter with one another. We can exchange goods and services with one another. Let's go back to supporting one another in this next season. But not only that, the economy is doing well because why? I'm like, why? Everybody got money. The economy is doing well because Rolls-Royce actually hit a record last year and had phenomenal car sales in 2020 and 2021. Phenomenal car sales. Rolls-Royce, one of the most expensive brands on the planet, broke through all records at a time when they want you to think that the economy is failing and that no one is doing well. When you see stuff like that, there's always an undercurrent of wealth that's being built, which is why I'm telling you guys that we have to pay attention and begin to look through all of this that's happening for the opportunity. You know what else happened? And I'm particularly looking at this. There is a women's basketball coach and Gamecocks, talking to you, D, over there. I know your son plays football over there, but she is now the highest paid female in collegiate basketball. I believe that her contract was for extension was for $22 million for an African-American Black coach. New York also just saw their first Black female commissioner of police, but first female period. But the fact that she's also an African-American, I found that to be of note as well. So there are some major things that are happening. There are millionaires being made in the midst of all the madness, and people are just really walking out and walking this thing out differently. These are some unintended consequences, right, of what's happened over these past few years. And so all I'm saying to you guys is pay attention, cut through the clutter, get to clarity in the chaos. And in the midst of all that, be blessed and stay woke. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. We'll be back on topic, but there was so much that we had to catch up on. But I look forward to seeing you guys next week on Unfiltered with Bcwright. Until then, guys, be blessed and stay woke. Love you guys. Bye-bye. So talk to me a little bit about this crime wave that's happening in Atlanta, and what are your plans to do something about it?
You cannot feed on this mainstream media. We have to get the real good information. We got to get that because they're hiding information.
Family. It's time to resurrect our minds.